Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, diving into the latest on the college football playoff and considering whether or not the enemy of my enemy is my enemy or the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're going to start this thing off right. Raider! Everything runs through Lubbock.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more, and new customers join today, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you, and a couple of different stones to hop to here today on the program. Before we're out of here, we'll get to a college football conversation involving some assistant shuffling, both near and far. Also going to take a listen to a thought from Red Raider head coach Grant McCasland following their win over Texas Christian this week, and kind of running down what Texas Tech has been, what they haven't been, how that kind of compares to what his expectations were coming into the season, and how it has added up to overcome some obstacles and be where they are in the Big 12 race. But we'll kick off our conversation today in the land of college football. You might have seen this week the vote coming to pass on a college football playoff format for the time being. You may think, hey, you're voting on something, you're deciding something. This represents a conclusion of some kind. No, this is only the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg. As anticipated, we did get to a 5+7 kind of model, but man, everything remains as fluid as can be. There's a whole lot to get to as far as what has been reported since then, Chris, that was involved in those conversations. Some things along the lines of possibly 4 automatic qualifying bids for certain conferences. I can't remember if it was the MAC or the SEC or the big, I don't know. Somebody was talking about 4 automatic qualifiers. Sun Belt? I don't know. It'll come to me. I can't remember which conference was pushing for that. And then we get to the thought of, well, maybe we should go bigger. Could it be 14? Could it be 16? Could it be 32? Now, these things get me very excited, Chris, because I was a jaded college football fan for the better part of the last 20 years when it comes to the postseason. Didn't feel like as a fan you were, getting what you deserved as far as the product was concerned. So I'm excited about a lot of these things, but obviously there are going to be some consequences, some unintended probably, to some of these decisions that will come to pass. So a whole lot to chew on, a whole lot to process, man. What's been sticking out to you the last couple of days?
Well, they all these meetings are taking place just 4 hours away from us, or give or take, there in the Metroplex. And this is a group of leaders, however you want to frame that really don't decide anything very quickly, because there is so much. Everybody's got a different agenda that's in the room, and these are the people that are kind of in charge of the sport, which is scary at times. But no one person is in charge, so it takes a while for them to agree on things as massive as this. But they did agree fairly quickly this week on the 5-7 model for the next 2 years. So you're gonna get that, the 4 highest ranked conference champions, the highest ranked group of 5 champion, I guess, and then 7 at large bids. So that's what you're gonna get for this coming postseason, and then the one after that. And then after that, everything is up for debate, and that's kind of where they're at now. They've kind of already agreed to the 5-7 model versus the 6-6 model. This was an easy, to decide this once the Pac-12 kind of went the way of the Buffalo, or the Buffaloes went to the Big 12, and on it goes. But now you're right. Now we have what we would call in the industry is called bracket creep, because it's like when the NCAA tournament was 32, it's like it expanded, and now it was 64, and it's like a little bit more. Let's go to 68. And now you're hearing more talk of expansion, and it's more entertainment, it's more money, it's more games, it's more access. But again, how, what, why? But the gist of it is they've given themselves, and I don't necessarily have this nailed down, but they've given themselves over the next month that they will decide the future here. And I think it is because this is what I think, and I don't know if this has been reported yet, but this is my assumption based on reading the tea leaves here. I think that big TV deal that ESPN put in front of this group with a B in front of the Illion is short. Like, it's like, here's this offer. However, it's got a shelf life. And we're going to pull this offer if you guys can't go ahead and commit to something in a format and things like that. So I think that there's some negotiating going on. So there is a sense of urgency. But yes, you're right. Now maybe talking 14 teams, which is the number being thrown around a lot in the last 24 hours. Or is it maybe even 16? There is rumors about the Big Ten and the SEC getting multiple automatic bids. Would anybody agree to that? And then this group wants to figure out a couple of things. Okay, they got to figure out that part, but then they got to figure out, access is one, sticking point, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. How many automatic bids do we get? Do we still want to give a group of 5 champion a bid, or is this just pointless? Like, what are we doing? They're discussing these things. And then how many at large, and is 14 or 16? Because then you get in a calendar, you get into how many buy, who gets a buy in this deal and skips to the second round. Just what does it all look like? But the other things are, how are we going to distribute this money that we potentially are about to agree to? Because right now, I think 80% of the money that comes into this deal gets distributed amongst the Power 5 leagues, or was Power 5. That's how the old way was. 20% goes to the group of 5. I think there's maybe some monies in there for other entities or just the actual committee itself to kind of sustain itself and all that. But then here's the big kicker. You're going to read the word governance. What do they mean by that? Well, what's the dude's name? Is it Kirk Schultz? Is he like the Washington State?
Yes.
Is it president? Okay.
Hostage taker in charge.
They're tired of Kirk. They don't want to hear from Kirk. Kirk is playing the cards that he was dealt. These are well within the rules, but what they're going to change is they don't want to have anybody like Kirk Schultz holding up what they want to do. And right now it requires, an anonymous vote, not anonymous, unanimous. See, Freudian slip there. A unanimous vote to be able to conduct business. Everybody has to agree to everything that they're doing, whether it's distribution, format, whatever, and they're going to change that. So this is just kind of a subtle way of where the Big Ten and the SEC can go. This is what we're doing. And I'm not saying it will just require those two to vote and to make things happen, but they're just not going to allow somebody to call timeout and go, whoa, guys, we can't do this. I work at Washington State, and we need every dollar, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So anyway, that seems to sum it up in a bit of a nutshell there.
Yeah, Schultz and the Washington State contingent part of it has been pretty hilarious. And I would say they're in danger of overplaying their hand, but at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. Like, at the end of the day, you're going to be in the ditch. So overplay, underplay, doesn't matter. You will be lost as a memory as part of this process is concerned. And he said things like, well, we needed this or we needed that because through no fault of our own, musical chairs was played and we were left without a chair. And I'm like, buddy, how about 80 years of only 25,000 people showing up to watch your football program? Is that no fault of your own? Kind of seems like you built what you are, and what you are was not something that anybody else, at least right now, within a power conference context, was attracted to. So I'm not sure that it's exactly no fault of your own that you didn't turn into a behemoth or something, again, that was attractive. So, yeah, that's been kind of an entertaining sideshow. But what I'm really interested in, Chris, is the question of, is the enemy of my enemy, or is the enemy of my enemy my friend? Because the Big Ten and the SEC right now are the enemies of the others. But if the Big Ten and the SEC are enemies of a tiny, puny little playoff that only gives them one automatic qualifier, and to appease them, that then results in a bigger playoff, all of a sudden, these are my amigos. These are my friends. Because I think it's absurd that to this point in time, again, as I've run down ad nauseum, so I won't bore everybody with it again, it took 100+ years to get to a 4-team playoff. Now, the 12 expansion is nice, but really, what's the justification to stop there? And you'll hear ESPN talking heads and all these brilliant expert college football minds out there say, well, a rump. There's only so many who are deserving or qualified to compete for a national championship. And yes, we are the ones, the men in suits. Hell, I'm wearing one right now, so maybe I'm one of them. We are the ones that can tell you where that line is drawn. Number 5 in the nation, you're not qualified. Oh, wait, I mean number 13 in the nation, you're not qualified. Oh, wait, I mean maybe number 15 in the nation. It just goes on and on and on. And all it is an opinion at the end of the day. Now, football being a little bit different game, a little more taxing on a body, taxing on these guys, I understand, adds to what you're thinking about as far as how big of an event or how many games you want to play. But it's a very, very small percentage that are actually impacted by that. And, oh, by the way, college football has a big postseason problem right now with some of the best players deciding they don't want to play because a path to an exhibition game, does that make you tingle? Does that get you going? No, obviously it doesn't. Any path to a national title, however, I think could generate a different feeling or a different conversation. More is better. I've mocked, I don't know for how many years, the thought of the regular season being our playoff. We got the best regular season in all of sports. Don't screw it up, except for that weekend where we all played Nicholls State in the SEC. Don't look at that weekend. So this actually kind of excites me. And, I may come to the table and feel like the enemy of my enemy is my friend and tell the Big Ten and SEC, all right, you want 4 auto bids, which is absurd, by the way, because once you get past the top couple or top few in those leagues, they're exactly like other leagues, Big 12, ACC, very comparable to those leagues. But you want 3 bids, you want 4 bids, fine. Give me a 24-team playoff. Give me a 16-team playoff. I know there's going to be a wide range of opinions, so we'd love to hear from you out there in the YouTube comments. But does that make sense, Chris? The enemy of my enemy could be my friend if you're rooting for a bigger event in the postseason?
Yeah, the whole thing's very confusing. I had somebody that I reached out to yesterday that is in the middle of this stuff in some ways. And I said, do you not find it odd that they're already talking about expanding it when we haven't even seen the current 12-team, like we hadn't even seen the 12-team deal. And it's like, okay, guys, we got to fix this. I mean, what is it even? I mean, already, and we don't even know. But it's you're going to get more. That's and at some level, like 2 things. One, if I'm a Washington State guy, I don't know what I'd be doing if it was me. Like, do I just be a real jerk and play every card that I can right now, knowing that I have no cards to play at some point very, very soon? Or do I come and be like, guys, I'm not going to play some of these cards, but I just want y'all to be nice to us going forward, please.
Right.
I'm kind of, it's on the honor system here. Let's be collegial. Okay. Like, please, okay. So I won't hold up anything, but just kind of, can you just try to take care of us a little bit? Okay. All right. Ready, break. Okay. And then you just kind of rolling the dice and gambling, to which they'd probably just stab you in the back for like, dude, Kirk, you're an idiot, dude. You got voted off the island. Your flame extinguished. But you're going to get more here. And it's more money. And for us, in some ways, it's more entertainment. It's more pre-Christmas football, meaningful football. I mean, all these things. I'm curious as to the way it looks like. I'm hearing all this stuff about, is this a terrible deal for Notre Dame or a bad deal for Notre Dame? I don't really give about Notre Dame. I don't, sorry. I don't know how it affects them. And then I find out the other day that for you gamers out there that the NCAA college football game that's about to come out, they were the ones holding it up because they wouldn't really agree to be included. And then they're like, okay, you can put us in there. And then they're like, okay, well now we can finally start making this deal. It's like, it makes me want to set myself on fire sometimes.
Write a letter to Rome, complain to the Pope. I don't know where to take it above Jack Swarber.
Sorry, but I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, I get what you're saying. Let us know how you feel about this in the YouTube comments. Pros and cons of expanding further, of not. Auto bids all of the above. All right, we'll leave that there for now. I'm sure we will circle back to it in some days to come. Let's get to a Tech Hoops conversation, Chris. First, today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. And eBay Motors has you covered with everything you need to maintain your vehicle and keep that ride or die ride on the road. Or if you're just looking to elevate your car's game to the next level of performance, they got what you're looking for with roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, superchargers, and accessories of all kinds to fit your style. Whether you're looking for speed, power, or design, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts to perfectly fit what you need. So just head over today to ebay.com/motors, where you're going to always find exactly what you're looking for, and with no risk because of eBay's guaranteed fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit just right every time, or your money back, keeping you burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to keep your ride or die ride on the road and moving your life forward at ebay.com/motors. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, exclusions do apply. I want to take a listen to Red Raider head coach Grant McCasland following the win over Texas Christian. Thought it was really interesting to kind of run down here what he assessed his team to be coming into the year and maybe how that has manifested in reality to this point in the season. Here is Red Raider head coach Grant McCasland.
The truth is, I've said this from the summer. You can go back and listen to it. We can really shoot the basketball, like really shoot it. And we're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. And our guys love to play basketball. They love it. The one thing I was concerned about was our physicality. I thought like our vertical rim presence, our team speed was really significant. I just was like, how are we going to rebound? Because we don't have naturally physical guys. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get guys that can really shoot, but they don't want to go close to the basket. It was kind of felt like where we were. And I thought we'd be really good offensively. I was just like, crap, can we get a stop? And we're going to be able to rebound. And it's been our deal all year long, but these guys love playing basketball. So I think when you get in these games, I've never questioned their fight, though. This team loves to compete. They love to play basketball, and they love each other.
Went a little Beatles on us there at the end. All you need is love, I guess, to fight in the Big 12 conference. But I thought that was really interesting because I do remember him making some of those comments coming into the year. We hadn't seen them, so we're like, I don't know. Can they shoot it? Can they do this? Not do that? But it's added up so far to a successful season.
And a couple of things here. I don't disagree at all with what he's saying about them being able to shoot it, because there's some dudes that, I mean, you know, they can get hot. There's some consistency there. It's a lot of fun to watch. And like any given night, as we've seen, it can be Chance, it can be Pop, it could be Joe, it could be Darion. You know, and it's, you know, and when we're talking like 25 plus point nights, and we've seen that from, I think, all four of them at different times of the season. But what's fascinating is you're not, you know, you're still winning here, but it's not like you're shooting it at a nation's best clip. You know, I went and looked this up just to make sure that I was right. You know, as far as 3-point percentages, and again, I don't disagree with what Grant is saying at all. I think he's dead on. But it just, from a numbers standpoint, you're like just around 50th in the country as far as, you know, the team percentage from three. You know, made threes per game, you're like 64th, and you're close to making like 9 a game. You know, points per game, you're scoring about 76, and you're 98th in the country. So you're not. So the point is that you figured out different ways to get to victories here, and I think that part is really a credit to him and this group for, because remember, 6 weeks ago, we're like, okay, these are the low turnovers, got to shoot it well. You do those things, then okay, I think I can see how you can beat some of these teams. You don't do those, I don't know. And now we're seeing that you can work around that. There are different ways. And if you're going to be a good team come March, and we're about a week away, and you're going to win games, meaningful ones in that month, whether it be in conference tournaments or regular season finales or NCAA tournament, you have to be able to win games in different ways, playing different styles. And the fact that they they had 10 steals the other day. They gave up, I think, a bunch of offensive rebounds, okay, but then they didn't allow many second chance points. I mean, there's just like little things little nuggets you can look at that like, okay, they're figuring out ways to scrap and claw. And like, here's the best thing I want to say, or to sum it up, my thought would be this: in the portal era, with so much roster turnover year to year, and look, TJ Shannon went for 35 and 11 last night. Some didn't want him to remain here, weren't going to ask him to stay. Kevin McCullough elsewhere. Tyreek Wilson at SMU after going to Oklahoma State. We know the dudes they're playing at Cal. Jalen Tyson, the Fardaws. You got Micah Peavy that was once here. So over the years you've lost a ton of folks. But the hardest thing in the portal era, with so much roster turnover, is like your culture or your leadership on your team. Like, go ask Kansas State how that's going for them right now. Go ask, like some of these teams that are just struggling, like, do they have good leadership amongst that group of players? Yeah. And like, that's one of the underrated things about your team right now is like, whether it's Grant, whether it's Joe, which I think he deserves a tremendous amount of credit here. I think Pop does, because he's being very coachable. He's matured, even though he's a true sophomore. And there's some holdovers. I think, Warren at times and Derry, I think that they were really smart in the way they put this team together. And there's no ego, and there is quality leadership. And that is underrated. And it's not something you can see or touch, or it's not on the scoreboard, but it sure is in the win-loss column. And I think you have some, you're drinking from the leadership fountain right now.
Well, and that has to be something that contributed to them playing as a team. I don't want to say so quickly, but like early on in the year, we were talking about assist numbers on made baskets and things like that. And it was kind of surprising how quickly they were coming together, given the fact that you had so much turnover over the offseason.
And it's going to continue to be like a problem for everybody in the country as you just shuffle kids in and out. And it's like, what are we about here? And that's why I like the Pop Isaacses or the Robert Jennings are so key, in that you can just start all over, but you're going to have to try to have some holdover, just so hey man, this is kind of how we do it here. This is coach is going to be hard on us today, so be ready for it. Or, hey man, that's the English building over there. I don't know, whatever it may be. You just have to have some holdover, but it's good. It's just one of those things. But I think Grant and them got an A+ on like choosing character and chemistry, and sometimes you just get a little lucky too. But I think that we probably hadn't talked about that enough. But it clearly is bearing out, because it's been hard. Like, some of this stuff has not been easy. You've had injuries and undersized, and you could just point to all kinds of excuses all over the place. And woe is me, and David Cameron's over there and on crutches and whatever. But as we know, Grant doesn't want to use any sort of excuse. And shame on the color analyst for even trying to offer him one up, or the fact that you would to play it close on the road on occasion. He's not about that.
Shame on the color analyst, but you're wearing the podcast host hat this morning. Yes. So this is a whole different type of content.
Yes.
We can throw it all out there. All right, we'll get back to Texas Tech basketball, of course, on the other side as we wrap up the week and get ready for a road trip this weekend. You got Orlando as the next destination against UCF, and then UT is coming to town next week. So a whole lot going down. I'll get you ready for it on tomorrow's episode. Before we're out of here, though, Chris, let's get back to college football. First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and the sports calendar keeps turning and the action never stops with America's #1 sportsbook and the official sportsbook of Locked On. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet hits. There are so many ways to spice up any action with their safe, secure, and easy-to-use app. So get to FanDuel.com/lockedon. And if you're a new customer, take advantage of $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet with FanDuel at FanDuel.com/lockedon, official partner of the NBA. Let's get to what has been a bit of a shuffle as far as some assistant coaches within the Big 12 Conference. And I don't know that this qualifies as a shuffle, but wanted to start the conversation here in the LBK with Josh Cochran, who got, I guess, a title added to his task list here this week. And I know he was someone that was mentioned as possibly maybe an outside chance or not, a long odds kind of guy, but possibly someone that could have been your new offensive line coach. Obviously, you go with Clay McGuire, but now Coach Cochran has got a new title to add to his business card.
Yeah, I think this is Joey. Look, I think Josh Cochran eventually is going to be an offensive line coach at some point. He's fairly young in the into his coaching tenures, or as far as just like the industry, if you will. He played at was a great offensive lineman at University of Texas, and he's a phenomenal guy. I mean, a smile on his face, like energetic. It was one of the first hires that Joey made. I think he identified a young coach. It's like, okay, I got this job now. I want you on this staff. Like, we're going to figure this out. And I do think Josh was at some level considered to be the new offensive line coach here. But in lieu of that, I think they're just trying to, you beef up a title, maybe increase his salary a little bit. But Josh did have a lot to do with what, Stephen Hamby and the offensive line and Taj Brooks were doing last year. Josh maybe had the worst hand dealt to him of anybody outside the quarterback coach, which would have been Zach Kitley, with the injuries that his position group dealt with last year.
Yeah.
Baylor Cupp played the majority of the season with a torn labrum and his shoulder in a harness. We know Mason Tharp missed 5 or 6 games. Jaden York, who's no longer on your team, was accused of certain things and ejected from a game. I mean, so you're in this tight end room, and it's like a lot of bells and whistles there. But then at the end of the day, it was just like, it was very difficult, but yet they just kept grinding and kept putting something out there that would potentially work and affect the run game. So anyways, I just think that I will say this too, outside of your middle linebacker group, I bet Josh Cochran has the best position on the team this next season. Just hide and watch.
Yeah.
Loaded is that group. Deep, talented, experienced, athletic. Look out. But the carousel never stops, Cowan, because if you just look around, man, there's a lot of movement with a lot of assistant coaches in the Big 12 Conference. It's been pretty fascinating to watch and go, interesting, because it's not just you that dealt with something. Now, this was more internal than it was somebody poaching one of your guys, but there's been a lot of movement out and about in the Big 12 in the last, 48 to 72 hours.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because everybody wants to assess immediately what the reasoning is. And so you'll hear some things as far as, well, it's Big 10 or SEC poaching from the Big 12 Conference, or no, it's the NFL because coaches are sick of NIL and college football is broken. And I mean, I guess time will tell, but you get these reactions very quickly, it seems like these days, whenever these moves happen, right?
And there's probably truths in everything that you just said at some level. People get to do what they want, but yeah, you've had, I think just yesterday, I think that the defensive line coach for the Baylor Bears went to the Ravens. I think I'm right. Iowa State lost their OC to the Rams and Sean McVay. You did have the SEC poach one from Cincinnati, stud running backs coach for Cincinnati and Scott Satterfield. And by all accounts at Louisville and at Cincinnati, the run game, had just been really, really good. And this was kind of an up and coming, but Tennessee got him. And then I think the offensive line coach for Baylor that had just been there for 2 months. I mean, Baylor is really a hot spot here in that they've lost an offensive line coach, a defensive line coach, and a linebackers coach in the last less than a week or less than 3 to 4 days ago, total. So, I mean, is that Dave Aranda, like, hey man, we can see the writing on the wall here, man. You don't have much time left. So I'm getting out while the getting's good. I don't know, but it's the carousel never stops, even though we're getting closer to March 1st.
That's right. It can be dizzying at times, but that's part of the fun, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Keep your head on a swivel.
That's right. Always. Appreciate the time as always, Chris. Enjoyed it today, and we'll be back tomorrow to get ready for more hoops.
Yeah, we'll talk headed to the Magic Kingdom tomorrow. So, in a UCF team that is reeling right now. In fact, they haven't won a game since they were before they were in Lubbock last time, which feels like it was months and months ago, even though it was just a couple of weeks ago. So, anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But enjoyed it. Keep hope alive, everybody, and we'll see you in the morning.
And a reminder as we go into that one that the theory of transitive properties does not exist, as Cincinnati found out hosting Oklahoma State last night. So you never know what's going to happen in the Big 12 Conference. Head on a swivel. Locked on, head on a swivel. Maybe that's a new name we're spitballing out there for the next year.
TT equals toughest team.
That's right, baby.
Not Texas Tech, or both. I don't know.
For Chris, I'm Casey. We appreciate you guys being out there. I hope you'll be subscribed if you're not already, so you never miss an episode on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.